is only 4 words. This one's for John.
This one's for Pat.
What is going on, beautiful people? Happy Tuesday. As you can see, today we're going to be doing a mock draft, and I'm really excited about this. I'm in a football league that I've been in for going on our 4th year. It's with a bunch of Navy guys. I had the honor of winning fantasy football, the trophy, the first year. And I'll just go ahead and say I don't have anything to sell you. I just happen to be pretty good, or I'm playing with a bunch of idiots, but I think it's the latter. I think I'm pretty good at this. I also like doing mock drafts with the NFL, but that time has passed, and now it's almost one of the most fun times of the year. It's like Christmas morning. Every single morning you wake up, look at a mock draft, do the mock draft, and the whole time you're doing this, you're also having fun, but you're also kind of honing in on the type of draft you're going to do, and you're preparing yourself for different outcomes and variables that could arise during the draft. And we're going to do a mock draft tonight, and I'm going to show you at least my thinking. But I think before you go into the mock draft, what's really important is that you have a strategy. You have to have a strategy and a plan. So I'm going to give you some of the tips that I wrote down here. I sent myself these on Facebook Messenger, and we'll go through them, and I'll give you practical examples of each example. Okay. My first tip: aim high on the depth chart. Okay. And I could give you plenty of examples of this not happening. For instance, T. Higgins getting drafted in round 2. Like, why would you draft a wide receiver in the 2nd round that is the 2nd best wide receiver on his team? Okay. Now, the point is T. Higgins, let's say he's good for getting you 18 points a game, 17 points a game. And this other tier of guys that you can get later, right, are going to have a lot more volume. I'm talking about people like Ladd McConkey and Keon Coleman, Deontay Johnson, right? So you got to keep in mind, what is the value going to be in the later rounds? Do I really want to come right out of the gate and draft T. Higgins round 2? In my opinion, that is a wasted draft pick. T. Higgins is not somebody you want to be drafting in the 2nd round. And look, there's going to be different tiers of wide receivers. And I'm telling you, this tier of wide receivers is strictly fantasy football related. It has nothing to do with talent. I think Nico Collins is in line to have a top 5 type of season by wide receivers, but will he be in my tier 1? He won't be, because you bring in Stephon Diggs and there's a lot of mouths to feed. Tank Dell's going to be healthy. So you're not just looking at the talent of the player. You're not. You're looking for somebody that is going to get target share, a large percentage of the target share, and a ton of volume. If I could just drive home one thing to you before you go into your draft, it's okay to pass up a player that is actually physically better than another player, so long as you can reason with it on volume. And there'll be plenty of examples of this. If I had to give you a second tip, it would be, do not follow the rankings. People that follow the rankings don't win fantasy football championships. And you might be thinking, I'll say that to all the people that auto drafted their championship. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm saying it's very unlikely, because it does, no matter how good computers get and all of the data points that get put in to give you the projected points, no matter how precise that gets, there is still a human element to this that no computer can do. And last year, you had somebody like Sam Laporta, who I went to bat for Sam Laporta. I sent text messages to my brother because he was getting ready to fantasy draft. I said, get Sam Laporta. The season started, and I was still texting him like, dude, Sam Laporta is probably on your waivers. Draft him. But if you followed the rankings last year, Sam Laporta was the 21st ranked tight end. So there's so many great tight ends ahead of him. But the reality was he was ranked that low because they didn't have data points on him, and he was a rookie. I think every single championship I've won, I've taken a shot on a rookie that I believed highly in. Last year, it was Zay Flowers. I said Zay Flowers would have the most production of any rookie wide receiver in this class. And by the end of the season, he would be the number one wide receiving option. And that also happened. So you want to look at the rankings for a frame of reference, but do not stick to the top two guys, right? That is not drafting your own draft if you're just deciding between the top two players available. Sometimes you're going to have to scroll down, and sometimes it is going to be conflicting inside of you, knowing that, hey, the computer's saying that I'm making the wrong decision. But at the end of the day, this is your football team. You need to be the one that feels strongly about your team. I have players that I feel really strongly about this year that are on my list, but I would also say don't draft with your heart either. But I do say everyone deserves one. Okay, so whoever that one player is for you that you just think is going to have a total monster season, but it's not being reflected, take that risk, take that chance, but try to limit it. Not every pick should feel that way. I'll tell you mine this year is Dalton Kincaid. I think Dalton Kincaid is going to finish as tight end 1 or tight end 2. With Stephon Diggs gone, the Bills are going to be running a lot of 2 tight end sets. He's going to get a monster target share on that team. And I expect Dalton Kincaid to totally break out, but he is not ranked, the top tight end or the second. You can get somebody like that later, which we'll get into in a little bit. Okay, but try to think outside the box. Last year, you had Austin Eckler getting drafted 2 overall. I said, don't do that. I said it over and over. And unfortunately, I said he's due for an injury, which he was, which is normally something I wouldn't say about somebody ever. But Austin Eckler just hadn't been injured yet. And they were using him in such a heavy way that I felt his time was coming. And it did. Tony Pollard was going 8th overall. And the guys that I was trying to make a case for going later in the draft is Zay Flowers and Devon Achane. So, look, it's okay to look at the rankings, but do your own homework. Make sure that you got that volume, okay? You would rather have maybe Keon Coleman or Ladd McConkey than a T. Higgins, but not on one-on-one drills in real life, but in fantasy football because of the situations that they're both on. Elite quarterbacks, the only guy. All right, that's what makes CeeDee Lamb the best receiver in this year's draft. Is the Cowboys are CeeDee Lamb, and CeeDee Lamb is going to continue to produce. Okay, but don't strictly, because when you look at your roster, you want it to feel good as you go down the board. T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, I promise you this, it'll feel good when the target share is when you have the best option on every team. That's when it feels good. When you have a really good wide receiver that is the wide receiver 2, or worse, if you're actually starting a wide receiver 3, it's not going to feel good, and you can avoid that. Tyler Boyd's one of my favorite wide receiver 3s in the league, But if you're starting somebody like Tyler Boyd, you made a big mistake. Why wouldn't you start Ladd McConkey? He has the upside. He has the target share. Okay? So think about this as you're drafting. Okay? In your head, you have a list of wide receivers that you know aren't coming off the board in the top 5 rounds, right? So when everybody's making a run on wide receivers, you don't have to follow in their footsteps, which leads me to my next point. Always have a backup plan for a backup plan. A backup plan to the backup plan, because I'm telling you right now, I could give you the strategy using a graph to explain that you want to go running back heavy to start your draft. You do, because you can get good wide receivers late in the 4th, 5th round. Really good wide receivers, right? There's about 35 receivers that I would start every single week this year. The number's just getting insane. Okay? But running backs is a little different. So I still think that there's some valuable running backs in, let's say, the 6th round. I like Trey Benson. I like a lot of Blake Corum. Him and what is his name? I'm blanking on it. Robinson. Let's see who else. Honestly, Saquon Barkley, he's probably not like his prime, especially because there's always this thing where when a really good player switches team, we go, oh, okay, he just dropped a tier. The team doesn't want him. Neither do I. This is what happened to Ezekiel Elliott when he left the Cowboys. It's what happened to Dalvin Cook when he left the Vikings. And it's going to happen to Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley this year. However, it's not true every time. Saquon Barkley is in his prime. So don't just group them together. Okay. But look, I always say go running back, because once the running backs are gone, it gets really, really desolate when you're looking for a running back. Okay. But if that's your plan going into the draft and you see the draft start and there's a run on running back, then all right. I would say don't do that. And on the contrary, if they go heavy wide receiver, if you see Amon-Ra St. Brown, it would be Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill. If those are the first 3 picks, go running back. Okay? So you're going to have to think in real time. You don't want to have a strategy. And the best way I can explain this is when my son was born, there was a birthing plan. And the birthing plan was very, very extensive. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to drive there. This is, we even did a dry run, right? Just so when she actually, when it was time, there was no thinking. There was just a plan to execute. The problem is you go in and the doctor that is supposed to be your doctor is out of town and a new doctor is coming in. Now that can drive somebody mad if they don't have the ability to accept the things that are outside of their control. We have to adjust and adapt. So you have a birthing plan. You want to follow it as close as you can, but you already give yourself permission to operate outside of those confines should something come up. And that's exactly how you need to approach fantasy football. Have your plan that makes the most logical sense, which would be going heavy on running backs. Okay. And then adjust based on how the people that you're playing with are drafting. Always, always, always draft a top 10 defense. Always. And we got Bill in the chat. He said, funny you're talking about ranking. It was the Giants draft episode on Hard Knocks tonight. I can't wait to check out the Giants Hard Knocks. What's up, Bill? Always draft a top 10 defense. And here is what I'll say about the top 10 defense. This is the only area on fantasy football that I actually use strength of schedule to determine the defense projections. Okay. For instance, the Steelers got a pretty good defense. I'm not messing with that this year. Their schedule might be the hardest I've ever seen in my life. So go through the strength of schedule, take a look at it, Maybe there's a couple international games. Those tend to not be high scoring. Maybe there's a lot of games against the Panthers and some lesser teams. And I would take a defense that finished fifth last year with an easy schedule over a team that finished first with a brutal schedule. So take a look at that schedule, specifically the quarterbacks that he's going to be playing, that defense will be playing, and ask yourself, what is it going to look like if I start this team on a day like this or that? If you get one early, a tight end, if you get one early, like round 2, for example, make sure it's a volume tight end. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about the tight end position. I actually don't have a problem with you drafting a Sam Laporta in the second round. Why? Because you know you got the volume and you know that you never have to worry about the tight end position. Okay, it's one of those positions where it feels really good to just plug and play for the whole season and be done with it. So I'm not against drafting Sam Laporta in the second round. It wouldn't be my draft strategy because, like I said earlier, I think Dalton Kincaid will be available later. I had Sam Laporta on my team last year. He was amazing for me. But the tight end is another one where you're going to have to make some adjustments. The Chiefs added Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy, 2 vertical threats, which is last year Travis Kelce, who had a down year. He had no separation because the defenses were able to focus on him. Now that you got Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown pulling stretching the field, I think Travis Kelce is going to find himself in a lot of space. So I don't think last year was an indication that he's on the decline. I expect him to bounce back and have a really good season this year. Okay, so those are just some quick tips. Hopefully they make sense. Some of these concepts are actually hard to explain. Easy to know once you know them, but hard to explain. And that brings me to a quote from, I think it was Benjamin Franklin. Not everything understood can be explained. No, it might have been Thomas Edison. Okay. So here we go. We're going to do the mock draft. A wide receiver is typically the option in round 1, unless you have the first overall pick. Wide receiver is the value throughout the first round. That's what we're hearing, unless you're picking 8 or 9 and they do a huge run on, wide receivers and you're sitting there with Christian McCaffrey available. But Christian McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson at 7 overall, I'm picking him at 7. Because it is very tempting to draft someone. But if you're at that 7 spot, I don't know. I think there's really good wide receivers that you can get later. So there's only a couple wide receivers that I would draft. Let's say I was 3rd overall and Christian McCaffrey and Justin Jefferson go off the board, or Amon-Ra St. Brown and Justin Jefferson and CMC. I would draft CeeDee Lamb at that position, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Now, wait for a quarterback and a tight end, but not too long, because the sweet spots at quarterback and tight end are around later in 10-team leagues compared to 12-teamers. It's still important to get one of the better players at the position, which is another reason why I don't have a problem necessarily with you drafting a star quarterback to be the anchor of your team every single week in the second round. Okay, so just see how the board's falling. If nobody's drafting any quarterbacks and you're on the clock on your 3rd pick and Lamar Jackson is sitting there, or Jalen Hurts, who I think is going to have a big year, I got no issue with that pick as well. Okay, but if you miss that 4-5 quarterback wave, then don't worry about it, right? You can get Trevor Lawrence or somebody along those lines later, which is still very good quarterbacks, right? Right now, there's 15 quarterbacks that I think you could start and feel really good about every single week. And I'm in a 10-team league. You're probably in a 10 or a 12-team league, so there should be no issue. No reason to jump the gun at quarterback unless one of the elites is available early. Okay. And here we go. Let's get into a couple more tips. Rounds 1 through 10 is probably going to be a lot of wide receivers, but I do expect Bijan Robinson, Breece Hall, and Christian McCaffrey to come off the board in the first round. Remember, Breece Hall had that amazing rookie season, tore his ACL last year. It's typical for running backs to take a full year before they get fully healthy again. Saquon Barkley did the same thing. So if Breece Hall takes that full year and then goes into this year, which he did, he started looking like himself. I could expect Breece Hall to have a big season. Bijan Robinson, definitely love that pick as well. But the top target in a lot of people's first round is going to be CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb noticeably improved last season. He's at the top of his position, and there's less competition for targets with Tony Pollard and Michael Gallup being gone. And to put it really simple, the Dallas Cowboys don't have anybody else besides CeeDee Lamb. In contrast to some other really good receivers, Justin Jefferson, he has a new quarterback. Jamar Chase's quarterback's coming back from an injury. Tyreek Hill's 30 years old, and there's Jalen Waddle there. It's little risk, but nothing crazy. They're still all going to be drafted really high. But CeeDee Lamb just doesn't have any of these question marks. And there's a couple ones that I'm wondering, like Puka Nacua, who had such a good season last year. Now Cooper Kupp's going to be on the field week 1. Is he going to be drafted extremely high, or is he someone that is going to fall to a later round? Because you'd feel really good about selecting him in the 4th round. Kyren Williams in round 2 is a great target for you. He scored the 2nd most fantasy points per game by a running back in 2023 with a clear 3-point lead over everyone not named Christian McCaffrey. He had a 90.5 rushing grade, ranked 3rd among those with 50 or more carries, and he played at least 77% of the offensive snaps in all but 3 games, and at least 94% of snaps in all 4 games. So chances are that Blake Corum is going to cut into Williams' playing time a little bit to keep him rested, but he should remain the Rams' feature back next year. Kyren Williams, man, I like the pick, but I am worried about Blake Corum being there, but not so worried that I wouldn't draft him. And then you get to round 3, okay? Now, this is where I said it's okay to add a quarterback if you want to. It's important to add an elite quarterback even in a 10-team league. That's the one that I've been in. There's 10 quarterbacks that each team can feel comfortable with, but there's just a couple other ones that have the edge to beat all those other quarterbacks, and it's the dual threat quarterbacks. So Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and Lamar Jackson. Those are the ones that I'm looking at in the 3rd round. If you prefer waiting for a quarterback, then there's several other rounds to consider a quarterback later. Round 4, okay? This is where you want to draft a running back or a wide receiver. James Cook showed last year he could be a versatile runner in his 2nd season, so we are moving into a different tier of running backs. He's been pretty good consistently on breaking off long runs. Once Ken Dorsey was fired and Joe Brady took over, Cook touched the ball more often than not, and he should continue to see significant work after the team's losses that we mentioned earlier was Stephon Diggs. Last year, Cook played all 17 games just like the year before, but his attempts per game went from 5 to 14. His rushing yards per game went from 29 to 66. Carries of 5 yards or more per game, 2 to 5.4. So, I mean, if what we saw last year is more to come, then James Cook could be a really solid pickup. We got Nashpad in the chat. He said, well, 50 minutes until my timeout in Tom Grassi Discord is over. 50. We are doing our fantasy football projections and strategy. Now, here's a really good target in round 5. Okay, Trey McBride. McBride was the clear top tight end. We just talked about him a couple days ago. He was the clear top tight end of the 2022 draft class. He had a slow start to his career, and he was competing with Zach Ertz and rarely got to play with Kyler Murray until late last season. And what we saw was his fantasy production increased to 14.9 points per game with Kyler Murray on the field. No tight end averaged that many points per game over the entire season last year. So Trey McBride, if you're missing on the George Kittle, the Mark Andrews, and the Travis Kelce, just mind went blank. Feel good about Trey McBride, right? These are the ones that you really need to know, because you don't want to freak out if your tight end gets drafted. You want to have a backup plan. You want to know what you're doing. Should this guy go? I'm going this way, right? You shouldn't be thinking that much on draft day. You should just be reacting. Round 6. Okay, now this is where I said if you didn't get one in round 3, one of the elite quarterbacks, this is when I would dig back into the quarterback pool. You could even get a wide receiver or a running back. Honestly, everything's on the table for this pick. This pick, depending on how the previous rounds went, will determine what you do here. This is the last time a tight end will be suggested. I think the significant tight ends will all be gone after this, and that is the reason. So I think any team that doesn't have a tight end at this point should get one. There will probably be other opportunities to draft a quarterback. CJ Stroud could find himself available around here. That would be good for teams without a quarterback. But honestly, wide receiver is a really good way to go here if you've already addressed all those needs. So use round 6 as a fill pick, right? This is your last chance to get somebody that you actually want to start every single Sunday before you start getting into wishful thinking. Okay. I think a top target around this area would be Malik Nabers. Malik Nabers, of course, last year's draft was insane. 7 wide receivers drafted in the first round. 6 of those finished as top 32 fantasy wide receivers. And I know Bill probably remembers this, but I was just talking about this. When wide receivers get drafted in the top 10, they're right. They're right. This position and cornerback have been pretty damn consistent. So I do expect Malik Nabers to go out and perform just like Jalen Waddle and Jamar Chase and Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave and all these other wide receivers that came into the league and made an instant impact. Now, Nabers isn't quite in the same situation as Jamar Chase or Waddle, but he should join the other rookies who are clear fantasy starters in their first year. So what you worry about, what's lacking in quarterback play, I believe, is made up for in production. Malik Nabers is the top target on the Giants, and anytime you can be this deep into the draft and get a wide receiver 1 on a team, you don't want to pass that up, because in the off chance that he's a wide receiver 1 that is actually getting off to a really fast start, this is somebody that can win your league for you. You have officially entered the part of the draft where leagues are won and lost. So if you play with people that turn auto draft on at this point, that's why they don't win. This is where you make game season winning decisions. Round 7, okay? Draft a wide receiver or a running back. Unless Joe Burrow is available, then of course, Joe Burrow. He's going to fall down the board because of his injury, but he's freaking Joe Burrow. So if you can get Joe Burrow in round 7, I think it's a really solid spot for him. Aaron Jones will probably be available around this. His ADP is significantly lower than it's been in the past. He's tied for 5th in PFF overall grade over the past 3 seasons with a 90.7. But he's on a new team. I still like Aaron Jones's upside. And I said this earlier, players that have been on one team for more than 5 years that join another team, as fans, we immediately assume that player is officially coming down the mountain, whether it's Ezekiel Elliott or Dalvin Cook or Aaron Jones, right? But it's not always true, right? Derrick Henry. Is Derrick Henry really going that far down the hill that he's not a top 5 running back? Are you sure about it? There's a lot of questions. So you have to make sure that you don't have these subconscious biases towards players joining a new team to the point where you forget that they're only 30 years old, not 38. In Minnesota, he'll have minimal competition for snaps and touches, which is another reason I think he's going to be successful. Whoever drafts Aaron Jones this deep into the draft, I think he's worth the risk at this point in the draft. And I mean, let's be real. We're at the part of the NFL draft where the fantasy draft where there's a risk for every player that you're drafting. All right. Now, you want to make sure that the player's worth the risk. Bill said Neighbors was on tonight and he seemed underwhelmed when he picked up his phone for the call with Joe. Like, yeah, I'm good. Just can't wait to be a Giant. Yeah. Dude, I felt the same way when Jerry Jeudy was drafted. I wanted CeeDee Lamb. They drafted Jerry Jeudy, and then I watched the video, and I was just like so disappointed. I was like, he doesn't want it. Like some players, they answer the phone, and they're just like they got tears in their eyes. They're like, I'm ready to get to work. Like Jerry Judy's phone call was just a bad vibe right off the bat. I was like, okay, this guy doesn't seem like he cares. But I was right about that. So hopefully that's not anything more than that. Round 8, DeAndre Swift could be available. This is a really good spot to pick him. In this case, too, you could get a wide receiver. There's going to be several proven players that are in new situations this year available at this time. Ideally, you could go with DeAndre Swift. I had DeAndre Swift going some around the middle of round 8. So, like the Bears added a lot of weapons, but DeAndre Swift had a good year last year. I think the Bears are going to utilize him very heavily, and Caleb Williams is probably going to be getting rid of the ball quick as he learns the speed of the game. DeAndre Swift's going to get a lot of those dump-off passes and rescue Caleb Williams. So if you're in a PPR league, he's going to get a point every catch. So I like DeAndre Swift. And for the wide receiver, Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson finished as wide receiver 28 in 2022 while tied for 6th in targets. Despite Kenny Pickett being his quarterback, now he is a Carolina Panther. He's going to be the X receiver and the clear leader in targets. Everything indicates that he could be in store for a similar season to 2022. And if Bryce Young can improve, then I still think he has a pretty high floor because of sheer volume. In 2021, Johnson was the wide receiver 8. So if Young does get better, we could see a season like 2021. We forget how bad Pittsburgh's offense was last year, and it's easy when that happens to forget how good a player is. Okay, so now we go into round 9. Round 9. Okay. I say receiver or running back. Now, this is one of my favorite parts of the draft because, like I said, this is when you win your fantasy football draft, your whole league, right? The next 5 rounds are mostly about picking your guys, the people that you love, your favorite sleeper. Could be a quarterback, a tight end, whoever that person is for you. This is the time to do it. It's okay to draft them because you're so late in the draft that there's not a huge risk. Okay, a running back or a wide receiver who could go out there and exceed expectations here would be in your starting lineup on maybe week 10 if one of these picks actually pans out. For instance, one of the guys I have on my list is Ladd McConkey. He's one of the few wide receivers that I would put as a rookie this late, right? I like Xavier Worthy. I like Malik Neighbors, Keon Coleman, and Ladd McConkey. These are different tiers. So you got your Malik Neighbors, your Marvin Harrison Jr. Those guys are going to be drafted very, very high because of their names. Okay. Now, is Malik Neighbors going to have a better season than Keon Coleman or Ladd McConkey? It's very possible that he doesn't. And the reason is because Ladd McConkey could end up being Justin Herbert's favorite target in a very good offense led by Jim Harbaugh. Keon Coleman is expected to be the wide receiver 1. Buffalo has Josh Allen. He's going to get him the ball. So what I'm trying to say is there is a big gap between those top dogs, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, in Ladd McConkey, Keon Coleman. But if you look at how many points they all have at the end of the year, I don't think the gap's going to be as wide. That's why you get value by going after an all-star quarterback's top target, whether it's Ladd McConkey or Keon Coleman. Malik Neighbors, I think he's drafted way higher. But down here, look for guys that are going to get that volume. I mean, it could be Quentin Johnson if he finally emerges, right? JSN, I think, is going to be available going into round 10. He was the 20th overall pick in 2023. Last year, he was restricted to snaps in 3 receiver sets. Things are changing this year. He's only 21 years old. He was the best wide receiver in the draft. There's a chance that he can win the starting job over Tyler Lockett, who's turning 32 this year. In which case, JSN would be a lot more consistent, which was his biggest down last year, was that he would have a good game, but then he would disappear for multiple. So JSN in round 10, totally worth the pick. Okay, if Malik Neighbors had a down year this year, would he be going in the 10th round next year? No, right? So I don't think JSN should be either. Then round 11, okay? Top target in this scenario, I got to go with Devin Singletary. Singletary was consistently graded well as a runner with a PFF grade of 73 every season, and at least a 78 mark in the past 3 years. And now he joins the Giants to be the feature running back. Typically, feature running backs are picked much higher, but he's going to be playing behind one of the worst offensive lines and has never graded well as a receiver. So typically, a featured running back is going to be selected in the top 2 rounds. Now, here you are at 11, okay? In the off chance that the New York Giants offensive line looks a lot better, Devin Singletary could be in for a top 10 season. If you can draft a running back in the 11th round that by week 4 or 5, you're like, oh my gosh, I can start this guy every single week. At the very minimum, you have trade value if somebody else doesn't have a running back. Okay, so I think this is a really good spot. Tyler Lockett, Brian Thomas Jr., Ezekiel Elliott, Courtland Sutton. These are going to be the guys coming off the board around here. Then at round 12, and this is the pick I'm sure Rick is going to want to make, Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams will most likely be available at this part of the draft. He was the first overall pick, and he's in a better situation than any recent quarterback that I've seen taken at number 1 overall, with his Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore. I mean, it's one of the best receiver corps in the league. Williams doesn't run as much as the other quarterbacks, but his career rushing grade ranked third among all players at the position over that time span. So he won't be considered a fantasy starter at the start of the season, but picking Williams is worth the risk at round 12 if he is able to go out there and consistently be the guy that he was drafted to be. And then the last round 13, the top target here, and this is the ultimate gamble right here, Mike Williams. Mike Williams finished last season with the 10th most fantasy points per game at wide receiver across 3 games, though, because he got injured again. He tore his ACL, and his injury history at this point is so extensive that you almost wonder when people draft him, it's like, why? Why are you betting on him to not get hurt? Statistically, it's more likely that he gets hurt. Let's just call a spade a spade. All right. The injury history is very concerning, but if you're in the 14th round and you want to get Mike Williams, the upside with him playing with Aaron Rodgers, should he stay healthy, and Garrett Wilson is being double covered a lot, Mike Williams could be a solid pickup very, very late in your draft at the end. So that is some of the strategies. And now we're going to do a mock draft. All right. Fantasy football. More. Oh, I got to log in really quick. Oh, no, I'm logged in. Draft guide, sign up now. Let's see. How do I? More. Here it goes. Mock draft lobby. All right, here we go. Expert 10-team mock draft. Ooh, when is that one start? 9:15. Okay. How do I join? Expert 10-team. PPR slot available. Join this league. All right. D for the P. We start in 1 minute. All right. 57 seconds, and let's go ahead and share this screen. Here we go. All right. So let's see. Edit pre-draft rankings, draft salary cap, expert, ESPN's league, salary cap. I've never even heard of a salary cap before. The hell is that? I'm going to leave this one. Hold on. Let's see. 10-team. I'm looking for a PPR. Oh, these are a lot. Let's go expert P 12-team PPR mock. See, where did it say snake? Okay, so expert here. 9. No, that one starts in 5 minutes. These are real people. These are real people. I'm going to join this league. Boom. I'm in. Edit team name. NFL with Kyle. Kyle? Who's Kyle? All right. And continue to draft waiting room. Okay, I pick at 7. 7's not a bad spot to pick, which now would be a good time to, I guess, talk about where I'd like to pick, right? I don't mind many spots, but I don't really like 8. I'm okay with 9 and 10 just because you get to pick back to back almost. 1, it's like, of course, you have your perk where you get Christian McCaffrey, but you have to wait such a long time before you get to draft again. Now, is somebody like McCaffrey that good where it's worth it? Yeah, it is. So just depends what you like. I like 7 because you still have like a bona fide star on the board, and then you pick again in 6 picks. So it's right there in that sweet spot. And PPR, for you guys that don't know, PPR, and this year we're going to have a fantasy football team on the Only Football podcast, if not here. But I want to have a fantasy football league with some of our biggest fans. So if you guys never done it and you're interested, it could be a lot of fun. Just a free one for fun, but Nick Harrison. Look at the auto-generated names. Nick's nifty team. Harrison's heated team. They just go with another D. Mustang's monstrous team. Cameron's cool team. Connor's competitive team. Dylan's dangerous team. Mark's magnificent team. All right. You gotta know when to hold 'em. Know when to fold 'em. Know when to walk away. Know when to run. You never count your money. All right, 1 minute and 20 seconds remaining before we start. This is a 10-team league. I am drafting at number 7 overall. My team name is NFL with Kyle. How many rounds are there in this one? I believe there's 15 rounds. Okay. So it's a PPR league, and you are only allowed to have one quarterback in these leagues. Man, there is a violent storm going on outside right now. I just hope it doesn't mess with my internet connection. All right. So 20 seconds, baby. 20 seconds for the rest of our life. All right. So Amon-Ra St. Brown should be my best option for the current pick at 7. I'm going to give you some info on the players as I go. I got my own sheet that I created here that I'll be going off of as we go through. And it is time to enter the draft. Woohoo! Let's go, baby! All right. So this is what it looks like. All right. Our draft is about to start in 1 minute. In 1 minute. So as you can see, these are the orders of the players projected the most points. For instance, Christian McCaffrey is projected 334 fantasy points on the season, where CeeDee Lamb is the second closest guy with 316, and then a big drop to 288. Look, these are just projections. You don't, like I said, the first mistake people make is following these rankings way too close, right? Sam Laporta was the 21st ranked tight end last year. You gotta think outside the box to win these things. Now, I will say the first round is pretty true to the board, but if you're going true to the board in the third, fourth, fifth round, like, you're doing something wrong. All right, 10 seconds remaining. Let me turn this up so you can hear the sound. 3, 2, 1. All right. I am on the clock in 5 picks. And as you can see, Christian McCaffrey was drafted, followed by CeeDee Lamb. Daring Demarius is on the clock with the 3rd overall pick. You can see the people who were picked down here in the lower right. So the board is going to be probably in every single one of your drafts. It's going to go CMC, CeeDee Lamb, Breece Hall goes 3. Okay. Now, I would love Bijan Robinson. Oh, Tyreek Hill, then Bijan Robinson. And I'm on the clock in 1 pick. Okay. Like I had predicted, St. Brown would be the best option available with this current pick. Brown is projected to score 36 more points than the projected available in the next round. So if I wanted to get a wide receiver in the next round, it's not going to be this. Oh, shit, I can't talk about it. I just got to do it. Okay. I'll draft and then explain. All right. I love Amon-Ra St. Brown in this case. I think he's one of the top 3 receivers in the league. Stats-wise, not just talent, but saying like who's going to have the best fantasy season this year. All right. So I am on the clock in 1 pick. Okay. So you look at my roster, I have a star wide receiver, a bona fide star. He has his bye week in week 5, so I don't want to pick. Ideally, I don't want to pick Saquon Barkley or Jahmyr Gibbs because they have a bye week in week 5 as well. Gosh, damn it. I think I'm going to have to just bite the bullet and get Jahmyr Gibbs here. I'm not a huge fan of drafting 2 players from the same team, but in this case, I think it's the right pick. I think I made the right move. Jahmyr Gibbs. So needed right now, 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, a tight end, a quarterback. And just so you guys know, this flex position, you can put anybody there. So Saquon Barkley, Isaiah Pacheco coming off the board here. Okay. Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm actually happy that Jahmyr Gibbs was available at that point. So next pick that I will have, I think, is going to be Drake London. I think Drake London will be one of those picks, but I'm telling you right now, if I can draft Jalen Hurts with my next pick, that's who I'm drafting. I pick again in 9 picks. And yeah, Jalen Hurts is all the way down here, but I expect him to have a big year. And as far as quarterbacks go, Jalen Hurts is the highest ranked fantasy quarterback in this year's draft, which I actually agree with that. Bill said, if you don't pick in time, does the system auto pick for you? It will auto pick for you. Yes. Great question, Bill. Okay, so I am picking in 4 picks. Marvin Harrison Jr. comes off the board. Oh, Nico Collins is a tempting pick, but man, I'm just worried about that target share. It's the same concern I have with Stefon Diggs. Brandon Ayuk. I love. Yeah, I'm gonna draft Jalen Hurts. I'm gonna get the best quarterback in the league, fantasy wise, this year. Now I am really, really screwing myself, like royally effing myself, because I have 3 players that I drafted with a week 5 bye. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why you auto draft, because I can't remember their bye weeks, but now I will not forget. The Lions and the Eagles share a bye week. I am picking again in 4 picks. I think if Mike Evans is available with my next pick, I like that. Is James Cook still available? Let's see. Where is Kincaid supposed to come off the board? Trey McBride, Kincaid, 58. I like Kincaid as my tight end this year. I do. All right, so there's a lot I can do right here. I think I'm gonna draft Jalen Waddle here. I like Jalen Waddle. They just paid him big money. I expect him to have a good year. If he had a down year last year, he still had over 1,000 yards in 14 games. I expect Jalen Waddle to be a week in and week out starter. And he doesn't have a bye week 5. So I got that working out in my favor. So Jalen Waddle is off the board. All right. I'm on the clock in 9 picks. The next guy available is going to be my tight end. This is where I'm going to draft Dalton Kincaid. I think Kincaid is going to have a huge year. I like Trey McBride as well. He was the best tight end in his class. So if Trey McBride's available, it's going to be tempting, but I'm going with Dalton Kincaid. 6 picks. Let's see. Brandon Ayuk, Cooper Kupp, DJ Moore. So let's see my roster. I have a quarterback. I have a good starting running back. I got 2 solid wide receivers. Okay. I need another running back, and this is why I go heavy on the running backs. I love Ramondre Stevenson this year. I think Ramondre Stevenson is going to benefit massively from Ezekiel Elliott being out of there. And I think he's going to be a workhorse back. He's right now the 3rd ranked running back available, but honestly, Josh Jacobs, Kenneth Walker, or Ramondre Stevenson, I would go with probably Ramondre Stevenson this year. I do like Kenneth Walker a lot too, but he's been a little inconsistent with injuries. All right. Anthony Richardson off the clock, which is round 5. That's a good spot to pick a quarterback. If I didn't have Jalen Hurts, I would be happy with Anthony Richardson, but you are taking a risk. You just don't know if he's going to be great. So, okay, I'm on the clock in 1 pick. Yeah, it's tempting to go Josh Jacobs here. I'm actually going to. And I'll tell you what changed my mind is that Matt LaFleur loves a balanced offense. And as much as we love Jordan Love, there is no clear wide receiver 1. There's no one to force the ball to. Josh Jacobs is only 1 year removed from leading the NFL in rushing yards. I think he has a good season for the Packers. And Nash says 15 more minutes till I can chat in Tom's Discord again. All right, so I am on the clock in 3 picks, and it looks like I made the right decision by going running back because I'm going to be able, God willing, I'm going to be able to get my guy. Come on, one more pick. One more pick. Don't do it. Don't you effing do it. Don't even think about it. Oh, no. He's thinking about it. Come on. This is nerve-wracking. Dalton Kincaid. Bam. I think he could honestly lead all tight ends in receiving yards this year. Love this pick. Love. This is exactly the way I wanted that to go. Being able to get Kincaid in the 7th round, somebody that I think will be the number 1, number 2 tight end this year. Love that area. All right. I expect Lamar Jackson to come off the board here. Jonathan Brooks is coming off. So here we are in the 8th round. All right. And DeAndre Swift, I mean, if he's available, I'm going to draft him. I mean, there's not a huge chance he'll be available next round. So if I choose Swift, I think that'll be my best pick in the round coming up. If I don't pick him, it'll probably be James Conner. Right now, this is important to know. Like, okay, if you do pass up on Swift, who are you going to be able to land realistically? And the answer is James Conner. Okay. Do I want to risk that? I don't. And last year I had David Montgomery as well. And I would love David Montgomery again. I really would. Oh, man. Honestly, the Lions offense with Ben Johnson, if he's available, he won't be available. I need to just accept it. DeAndre Swift, like I said, is going to be the best available. All right. I am on the clock in 3 picks. DeAndre Swift could be gone. If Tank Dell, David Montgomery, DeAndre Swift go. Oh, there goes DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift goes, and then Kyle Pitts. So David Montgomery is on the board. If he doesn't get picked right now, he's going to be on my team. I love Jaden Reed as well. But to be able to flex David Montgomery would be a huge, huge flex. No pun intended. Oh, you bastards. They drafted him. Right? Oh, son of a biscuit. All right. Let's see. In this scenario, I'm going to go with Jaden Reed. I thought he had a great, great rapport with Jordan Love at the end of the season. Great rapport with Jordan Love. So I went with Reed. Man, I was so close. So freaking close. And I think one of the players that could be an offensive rookie of the year, Montgomery's another week 5. I know. He is. And that's why I'm glad that it didn't work out for me. Okay, so there's a couple picks I like here, okay? I like Zach Moss. We saw really great stuff from him. The other guy I like, I can get him later, but I'm going to grab Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is still the number 1 wide receiver, and he's a great guy to have on the bench. He doesn't have a week 5 bye. I could feel good about putting him in. Now, what I was looking for is I want to see where Xavier Worthy is. Here he is. I think Xavier Worthy could be the offensive rookie of the year. I also like Trey Benson a lot. And this is down here where I can grab some of those guys that are going to be lower on the list. Brock Bowers, he's down here as well. He could emerge onto the scene. Adonai Mitchell, don't love that. He's a wide receiver too. I'm still looking for wide receiver ones. Xavier Worthy could legitimately emerge as the best receiver. I'm also going to draft Jordan Love here in a fuck. I think I just lost him. Where is he? Where did Jordan Love go? Oh wait, Jordan Love's still here. Okay. I like Jordan Love. I'm going to need another quarterback, and let's just say Jordan Love does come out and play at an MVP level. I like to roster 2 quarterbacks. I like Zach Moss. I do. All right. I am on the clock in 3 picks. All right, I'm on the clock in 1 pick. Oh, Jordan Love just got picked. All right. It is what it is. I like David Njoku. And David Njoku likely won't be available, but I have Gibbs and Jacobs, but I don't have another wide receiver or a running back, and I have plenty of options at wide receiver. So this is somebody I wanted. Zach Moss could have a great year with the Bengals. He could be a late round steal. Keon Coleman. Like Keon Coleman, I like Ladd McConkey. And I like Xavier Worthy. Ladd McConkey. Did Ladd McConkey get drafted? No. No, he's right here. So these are the receivers that I like. I think Buffalo, they got big plans for Keon Coleman. All right, Xavier Worthy here at 104. I'm going to draft him now. You could say it's a reach, but if he's the offensive rookie of the year, this is a league-winning decision. I guarantee you somebody I'm playing with is looking at that name right now, hoping that that name doesn't come off the board, and it is. B is bench. Wait, what? What do you mean? What is B is bench? I might have read that comment too late. Sorry. I am on the clock in 8 picks. 8 picks. Xavier Legit. Julio McLaughlin. Some good late round fillers. Austin Eckler. Ah, oh, damn. All right. And I am about to be on the clock again. Oh, give me Trey Benson. You guys know I've been saying all offseason, Trey Benson is the best running back. Oh, no. No. Trey Benson gets picked up right as I'm saying that. I need 2 quarterbacks. I'm going to go with who I think will have a better year than Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels. This is a great, great late pick. Insurance on Jalen Hurts. And somebody that I do expect to be a dual threat. And we know in fantasy football, dual threat quarterbacks are more. All right, here we go. So we got 3 more draft picks. What we don't have is a defense. Let's take a look. The Browns defense. I'm going to take the Browns defense. It could be early. I like the Jets. No, I'm not doing that. Let me see. Brock Bowers. We're going to take Brock Bowers, and we're going to see what the guy can do. We're going to see what he can do. Oh, yeah, Bill, gotcha. So, yeah, the BE is my bench, and I can adjust those throughout the season. They just autofill the most logical, like, starting players based on their ADP. Okay, so I have 2 more picks. Now, who are those 2 guys that I expect to be, really good that maybe not on everybody's radar? I have 2 quarterbacks. I'm pretty good at wide receiver. I think Marvin Mims could emerge. I don't hate Gabe Davis with Trevor Lawrence. Tyler Algier, Jacoby Myers, Ty Chandler, Khalil Shakur. He's going to be expected to play a big role. And I wasn't able to get Keon Coleman. I do have Dalton Kincaid. But honestly, the offense, ooh. So I have one. I already have 2 tight ends because I went with. Call me crazy, but I'm going to do it. I got 2 picks left. Everybody's going defense now. Cowboys defense. I would rather go with the Jets defense, but since I don't have an elite option, I'm going to take the best kicker. Take the best kicker in the game. Set and forget. Somebody out there is upset about that. And I'm going to cue the Jets defense. The Chiefs defense, honestly, is pretty impressive last year. Jets defense comes off the board as I say that. I think the Steelers are going to have a good defense, but their strength of schedule is really tough. They play a lot of very difficult games. I'm going to stay away from that. The Lions, are they going to have grit or be in high-scoring shootouts? I'm going to go with the Chiefs. Can't believe I have the Chiefs on my team. Ugh, gross. Ugh. What is wrong with me? All right. Let's go back to all, and let's get some of those guys that only you believe in. Honestly, Pat Freiermuth, great pickup. If you have too many tight ends, guess what? You have trade material. I feel good about the players that I already have. So Cole Kmet, he's going to be the security blanket for Caleb Williams. Jalen Polk is a great late round filler. I think I'm going to go with Jalen Polk because he's going to be expected to be the wide receiver 1. Ricky Pearsall, just too many mouths to feed over there. I'm not against having. I mean, Dalton Kincaid's my every week starter, so I'm not too worried about the tight end position. But I do like the fact that Pat Freiermuth is available. I think he's going to have a good year. But Gabe Davis, pairing him with Trevor Lawrence, and then Marvin Mims, who I'm going to draft. I can't let my heart do that. I want to. He's supposed to play a bigger role, but I think a better pick here is Pat Freiermuth. I really do. I've never drafted that many tight ends in a PPR league, but I just didn't have the same conviction on these other guys. Okay, and now I'll get Marvin Mims over Gabe Davis. Well, Marvin Mims made the Pro Bowl as a rookie. Sean Payton said at the end of the season he didn't utilize him correctly. Bo Nix gets the ball out of his hands really quick, and the guy that they want to get the ball in space is Marvin Mims. This is a high upside pick to close out the draft. All right. So here is my team all together. Okay. My team is full and completed. At quarterback, I have Jalen Hurts. At running back, I have Jahmyr Gibbs. Running back 2, Josh Jacobs. Wide receiver 1, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Wide receiver 2, Jalen Waddle. Dalton Kincaid, tight end. Honestly, this flex position is going to get moved around. Xavier Worthy, if he does turn into the offensive rookie of the year, he's going to end up being my flex, and that's a league-winning flex if he turns out to be that good. But we'll see. Reed goes into week 1 at the flex position. Chiefs defense, Justin Tucker, and then Amari Cooper, Zach Moss. Love this upside here. Xavier Worthy, Jaden Daniels for the win, right? If anything happens to Jalen Hurts, or if Jaden Daniels just goes out and balls out like CJ Stroud did last year, that's a sick pick at that spot. And then Brock Bowers, the best tight end prospect in the history of the world. We'll find out. Pat Freiermuth, there's always that one team that decided not to draft a tight end, and they're going to be offering you some trades. Now, what you can end up doing is, let's say Pat Freiermuth is a top 15 tight end, and you have a guy that didn't draft a tight end, and they're reaching out to you like, oh, dude, you don't even need Pat Freiermuth, because that's why they offered the trade. They look at the roster and they go, he doesn't even need him. He's benching him. So you go, okay, I'll take Pat Freiermuth and Zach Moss, right? Let's say Zach Moss is a top 15 running back, which I don't think that's totally out of the question. So you take that, and now all of a sudden you trade for a bona fide star. So when I draft, I'm usually thinking about value in trades down the road. I have never stayed with the same team throughout an entire season. Matter of fact, my team changes dramatically. There's honestly, all the starters that you see here will be on my team all year, but the bench players, that gets really switched up. That gets changed around a lot. There's always that young player that's on waivers, that Puka Nacua, oh, I'll take him. So we'll have to see. But I feel really good about this team. Bill said, you need a kicker, get Graham Gano. LOL. Got a feeling the Giants are going to be kicking a lot. And he didn't say punting, he said kicking. So he's expecting TDs and field goals, especially if they can't capitalize in the red zone, which is actually something I consider when taking my kicker. How many times are they going to have to settle for a field goal? Because field goals are worth 3. So honestly, I like my team. I'm not like crazy in love with it, but honestly, if this is my team, I would feel pretty good about it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to screenshot this, and I'm going to take that screenshot and I'm going to post it, and I'm going to ask Twitter to rank it. Here we go. And we'll see what they say. Honestly, I feel pretty good about it, but you don't want to stick to your draft board. You want to have a backup plan. You want to have a backup plan to the backup plan. You need to be able to flex. If the 9 other teams in your league are doing a run on running backs, then okay, then I won't get a running back in the first round. You got to be able to adjust, okay? And no, like I'm not getting a quarterback in round 3 unless ... it's one of those 3. And that's Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, and whoever else. I mean, you could make a case for a couple, but if it's not Patrick Mahomes or not Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, that was the third I was reaching for. If it's not one of those 3, then you go, okay, well, then it's kind of like those graphs that's like this, go here. Then you have another question, go here, right? If you don't draft a quarterback in round 3, draft one in round 6 or round 5, right? But understand like the waves of when the quarterbacks are if you're in the 5th round, expect Jordan Love to get drafted. Expect these guys that are not 5th, but you get what I'm saying. Expect that next wave, Patrick Mahomes, to start coming off the board. So just know that. And then here, I'm trying to post this. Where is the... Oh, okay. Here it is. The markup. I got to crop. I got to crop this. Crop. Whatever. I can't figure this out right now. I'll just do it. I'll do it later. Oh, here it is. Crop. Okay, there we go. Take that in. And save. Done. And X. All right. And it's being posted right now. Screenshot. Boom. All right. So I'll see if I get ridiculed or not for my draft. I'm pretty sure I will. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. Of course, if you guys have any questions about fantasy, like I said, I'm not one of those people that's trying to sell you a course. I don't even have anything to sell, but I have won the league championship in multiple leagues, and I think I'm pretty good at it. I understand numbers. I understand draft. I love doing mock drafts when the NFL draft's approaching. So I just love this in general. So let's see. Fantasy football. Hashtag mock draft. And that is posted right now on NFL with Kyle. So if you guys are watching, you want to give me your honest opinion on it, you can go to my Twitter handle, which is NFL with Kyle, and let me know what you guys think of it. And like I said, we're going to do a group fantasy football league on this channel. So if that's something you're interested in as well, then just comment that on the video. Say, I'm interested in being in the fantasy football league. It's free. It's not going to be a money league. It's just for the love of the game. And Bill said, I put up something on your X announcement. It's the full Giants draft board, and it's color coded with the injury concern. Good leader, stuff like that. That's really sweet. I'll check that out. That's so cool. I would do it like that too if I was in the NFL. That makes sense, because you gotta weigh the pros and cons and put people in the best situation. Oh, I see right now, Joe Schoen telling Brian Daboll they won't be taking a quarterback and are sticking with Daniel Jones. Brian Daboll says he's good with that, but his body language and facial expression seems to say otherwise. I really got to get on Hard Knocks. I'm excited to watch. I'm gonna actually log out of here and go watch the Hard Knocks right now. So thank you guys for watching. If you guys could hit the thumbs up on this video, hit the like button. The like button. Oh, come on. It normally does cool stuff. There you go. I'll give you some hearts. Hit the like button if you guys enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. I'll see you on another stream very shortly. Bill Nash, thank you guys for being here and active in the chat. You guys are freaking awesome. Can't believe that I get to do this with people that are actually online watching. So thank you guys for being here. And I will see you guys very, very shortly. Have a good night.